Welcome back to the Crypto Saving Expert Daily News Show, where we talk about the latest cryptocurrency news and take a look at the markets so that we all know exactly what is happening. First of all, let's pull up CoinMarketCap and see what's happening over here. We currently have, what's best to display it like this. Bitcoin sat at $23,290 and Ethereum sat at $1,595. So we have seen a strong upwards movement over the weekend, and let's talk about that a little bit more because we've started the week with a little bit of a dump on the Bitcoin chart. So taking a look at the Bitcoin chart, you can see here clearly we had this CME gap. So this CME gap opened on Friday night at, I've just moved the line. It opens at 10 p.m. on a Friday UTC time, and then obviously opened after a nice pump to the upside. We got all the way up to $23,960 over the weekend. And then Bitcoin completely demolished that CME gap, filled the gap, and now is looking like it might see a bounce. Now, this is a positive thing for the Bitcoin price. We always see the CME gaps acting like a magnet for the price, but now that's filled. We don't have that worry of there being a CME gap below the current price of Bitcoin. We do have one further down at $20,000, and we also have one further up at $28,000. So they're both acting like magnets right now, but it is very common to see for Bitcoin us fill that gap immediately on a Monday morning and then continue trading as it should for the rest of the week. So nothing out of the ordinary here so far. Taking a look now at the cryptocurrency news and taking a look at what is happening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button. Let's try and get 50 likes on today's stream. It feels like it's going to be a really good week in crypto this week. It feels like we're going to have a productive week and things are on the move already. So it's a very exciting start to the week. Let's take a look at the cryptocurrency news. We've also got some very exciting news today. The end of last week, the news was getting a little bit uninteresting, but not very interesting. But now this week, we've got a huge amount of top headlines for today. So let's take a look first at Polygon Network surpassing Ethereum in daily active users. So we can see here, we already knew that BNB was actually had higher daily active users than Ethereum, but we've now seen Polygon surpass this as well. Now, this has happened a couple of times in the past. It's not a very clear chart we have here, but if we look at the end, the purple line down here is Polygon and the orange line here. No, the orange line here is Polygon and the purple line is Ethereum. We've seen Polygon surpass Ethereum in daily users before, but now we have seen that crossover once again. And this is because of their lower transaction fees and I think their faster transaction speeds. Yep, faster transaction speeds here as well. So Polygon is improving, and we've seen a lot of different NFT projects moving over to the Polygon network in recent weeks as well. So we're seeing a lot of talk about Polygon recently. We've also seen it move up into the top 10 cryptocurrencies in terms of market cap. It's currently sat at $1.12. If we take a look at the chart here and see what's happening on the monthly chart, we can see we've seen a nice increase for 2023. We started the year down at 75 cents. We're already up at $1.12. So we've seen a nice move to the upside. Today, we haven't seen too much of a positive price move, but I imagine all the altcoins have a chart, something similar to this, since we've seen Bitcoin move to the downside this morning. But hopefully Bitcoin makes a nice recovery. We did manage to break through that resistance level at $23,300 over the weekend. We'll have to see if we can actually break through that on a weekday. I never really trust weekend price movements. I like to see big price movements over the weekdays instead. Let's take a look now at the next article and see what we have here. The White House to unveil priorities for digital assets to protect customers. So we saw last week the White House explained while cryptocurrency might be relatively new, the behavior we have seen some cryptocurrency companies exhibit and the risks posed by this behavior are not. As an administration, our focus is on continuing to ensure that cryptocurrencies cannot undermine financial stability, to protect investors, and to hold bad actors accountable. So they're trying to regulate the space as much as possible. We knew this was coming, and it's challenged the US Congress to step up its efforts in helping streamline the cryptocurrency industry. One recommendation that Congress should expand regulators' powers to prevent misuses of customers' assets, which hurt investors and distort prices, and to mitigate conflicts of interest. So this is coming obviously following the FTX collapse. We're seeing them step in and try and improve regulations within the cryptocurrency space. And in my opinion, regulation on cryptocurrency is fine. We need it to grow as long as they don't stifle growth, as long as they don't put a load of barriers in place for people to access cryptocurrency as easily as they can do currently. We see KYC and AML restrictions coming in on many different platforms right now. And that is obviously a regulation that we can abide by. But as long as we don't have regulations that stop the everyday user from being able to access cryptocurrency, similar to how the traditional traditional finance systems are, they make it a little bit too tricky, I think. Let's take a look now at the next article. We have crypto bank Silvergate suspends preferred stock dividend payments. So this is a huge cryptocurrency. Not a crypto. The leading American cryptocurrency bank Silvergate Capital has suspended payments of dividends for its preferred stock in an attempt to preserve capital due to unfavorable market conditions. So in Q4, they actually recorded a loss of $1 billion. So now, obviously, they're stopping their dividends to try and recover some liquidity. This decision reflects the company's focus on maintaining a highly liquid balance sheet with a strong capital position as it navigates recent volatility in the digital asset industry. The company continues to maintain a cash position in excess of its digital asset customer related deposits. So we're seeing them take steps forward. They've obviously taken this big loss, and we're looking at how they're going to create continue to have liquidity in the markets. Now, this is what we want to see in cryptocurrency. We want to see businesses operate in the best ways possible, and to ensure that they have liquidity at all times, and not look back and say, oh, I should have done better. Like, they're taking steps ahead of the game to make sure they don't end up in a difficult situation. Davide is saying the sound is very quiet. I've moved my microphone a little bit closer. I messed around with the box the other day, and I've had a little bit of an issue with that. I've not really got it back to how it was before, but we'll work on that. Let's take a look now at the next article and see what is happening next. We have, following the EU consumers legislation, Porsche gives 14 days return option for its NFT buyers. So we've covered these NFTs in an article last week. Porsche released some NFTs. They look like, I don't know if I can share this. Oh no, I can't zoom in. That was going to create a mess. So they released these NFTs. Essentially, they're NFTs of Porsche cars, and they allow you into a little group where you get some benefits. Not something that I personally would be interested in, but they had an initial mint price of 0.911 Ethereum, which was approximately $1,448. Not very approximate. And Porsche is intended to produce 7,500 NFTs, but they only ended up minting 2,363. The demand was not as high as they expected at all. The price of the NFTs did rise shortly after they decided they were going to stop minting anymore, and this was going to be the maximum supply of the tokens. But now they've noticed that a law that has already been in place for a very long period of time. In fact, since October the 25th, 2011, the Consumer Rights has said that that, save where the exceptions provided for an Article 16 apply, the consumer shall have a period of 14 days to withdraw from a distance of or off-premises contract without giving any reason. So essentially, these NFT purchasers can then, they've minted these NFTs, they can hold them for 14 days. If the price declines with the NFT or the price stays the same, they can actually get a refund from Porsche. So this is a rule that we see all the time. When you buy any products from Apple, for example, if you buy a new laptop, you have 14 days just to take that laptop back if you just decide you don't want it anymore without any reason. This is a law that is across all companies within the EU and the UK, I think. So now Porsche have realized that they have this rule that they need to abide by. So people really had a risk-free trade right there. Let's take a look at, Lee said, I think on the whole, I'd rather have an actual Porsche. Me too. I really don't see the benefits of being in a Porsche group if you don't own a Porsche physically, but I'm just not a big fan of NFTs personally, but some people are, and some people make a lot of money. Let's take a look now at the chat. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button, and make sure to hit that like button. We are trying to get to 50 likes in today's stream. We're currently on 18 likes. Let's take a look now at the next article. to see what's happening over here, we have main UK suspect in IOTA's 2018 hack sentenced to 4.5 years in jail. So we're seeing repercussions for bad actors in the space. Now we're going to move on to the next article quickly because we have a huge amount of articles in today's video to discuss. So let's move on to crypto's Fear and Greed Index returns to pre-lunar crash levels. So let's take a look at this Fear and Greed Index and see what's happening over there. Let's have a look at this article down here. We are at 61. We're in the greed section for Bitcoin and crypto. That is not what I expected to see this morning. We did see a nice move to the upside over the weekend. Maybe people have got a little bit excited. That gives me a little bit of fear. As I've said before on the channel, when the markets are fearful, I'm greedy. And when the markets are greedy, I'm fearful. And that's a mindset that I've pushed onto myself for years. And now I finally have that mindset naturally. So when I see greed, I think, it's not really a brilliant time to be buying right now. In fact, it's a time where I look to take profits on some of my altcoins if I see things like that. So that is a bit concerning for me, but we'll take a look further at that in a second. Let's take a look at the article. So prior to the collapse, we were seeing Fear and Greed Index around 50, and now we've seen us come back up to that level. That's pretty self-explanatory. So let's move on to the next article. We have Roger Ver comments on $20 million lawsuit filed against him by Genesis. So Genesis filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy 2 weeks ago, I believe. They have parent company DCG. And Roger Ver, who is a big fan of Bitcoin Cash, has a open position. Now let's find where this is correctly. He alleging that GGC filed a lawsuit against Ver, alleging that he failed to settle crypto option transactions that expired on December the 30th. Now, Roger Ver is saying, I have sufficient funds on hand to pay Genesis the sums allegedly owed, and I'm happy to pay what I actually owe. However, Genesis was required by an agreement to remain solvent, as Genesis can't ask its clients to play a heads client lose, tails Genesis wins game, he said. Ver, sometimes called Bitcoin Jesus, for his early adoption on the asset, added that in June he asked Genesis for assurances of their solvency. However, the company provided financial information that he's being called into question by recent events. So effectively, because they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, he's saying he's not under any obligation to actually pay those funds. Now, $20 million. It's quite a lot for Genesis to pay back. I mean, they owe Gemini a lot more, and a lot of other cryptocurrency companies as well. Whether he actually has to pay this, it'll be very interesting, actually. It looks like he's not going to if he's got that reasoning for doing so. I'm sure you wouldn't just make that up. It looks like Genesis is just going to be in a little bit more trouble trying to reorganize their funds and get their funds back to the lenders like Gemini so they can help. I mean, we've seen over the last couple of weeks, Gemini, the cryptocurrency exchange founded by the Winklevoss twins, lent their funds to Genesis for their users in the Earn portal. And then, unfortunately, Genesis filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but they're working out a way to pay back Gemini so Gemini can pay back their Earn users. Now, before we move on to the next article, please don't forget to like and subscribe and press the bell notification button. I have to say, this channel is growing incredibly quickly. We're already on 18 likes for today's video, and we're on 2,329 subscribers, growing every single day on a mission to get 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, so we can get one of those lovely YouTube plaques. Moving on to the next article, seeing what's happening over here. Bitcoin miner US Bitcoin Corp faces $540,000 in fines for operating without a license. Now, the North American-based Bitcoin mining firm US Bitcoin Corporation is facing a potential fine of $540,000 if it refuses to obey a court order to shut down its business after operating for years without a license. So they're wanting it to shut down. Obviously, they're not doing so. According to a report, the US Bitcoin Corporation was asked to cease its operations or face a fine of $10,000 per day. Failure to shut down by the end of January would increase the penalty to $25,000 per day. And he gave the order as a follow-up to a temporary restraining order issued against the mining firm by Justice Frank in December 2022. Failure to adhere to the order would mean the US Bitcoin Corporation pay $540,000 in fines. Now, taking a look at what's happened down here, Now they are saying they will shut down operations. They argued that its operations were exempt from local law and did not need a license. However, the court ruled that the firm was not exempt and that continuing its operations without a license threatened public health and safety. So hopefully over the next couple of weeks, months, they manage to get a license so they can continue operating. And we want to see as many Bitcoin miners as possible because that helps to support the network and make it secure. Moving on to the next article, we have the US Fed will not prohibit member banks from offering crypto custody services. So the Fed is saying that banks are able to offer cryptocurrency. They're just going to make it very difficult for them to do so. They need to KYC check, they need to AML check, and they will be watched very, very closely to make sure they do this correctly. And if they don't, they will face large fines. And that's what we've seen historically. And that is something that I will see in the future, I imagine. But they're saying we're not putting a ban to it. You just need to make sure you are doing things correctly, obviously. As the same with everything. Moving on to the next article. This is a pretty big article for today. Let's take a look at this one. Tron's Justin Sun wants 5 countries to adopt Tron as legal tender in 2023. Now, this would be incredibly interesting. Let's take a look at where Tron is on CoinMarketCap and see what's going on over here. We have Tron currently trading at $0.062, and we've seen a little bit of a dip in the market. As I said at the start of today's stream, I imagine all the altcoins are looking pretty similar. We've all seen that dip this morning from Bitcoin's move to the downside, closing that CME gap. Right now, we are still seeing a bounce from that, but we do want to see Bitcoin. I'm dotting all over the place here. I hope you're still following me. We have a level of resistance for Bitcoin on $23,300, and we are back below that. So we do want to see a break to the upside through that level of resistance and potentially use it as a level of support as well. That'd be positive for Bitcoin and the rest of the altcoins. As you can see, they're all pretty much following Bitcoin very, very closely. Bitcoin's crashed this morning. They've seen a little bit of a move to the downside. If we take a look at the monthly chart for Tron, though, we've seen a nice increase throughout January. The start of the month didn't turn out too well, but we've seen a nice increase over time. Jason Smith said, big news for Tron. Think he has a long-term play with its position in the cryptocurrency space. Indeed, and we don't even doubt that he might actually be able to pull this off. He said, this is an ambitious goal, but I'm confident that with hard work and dedication, we can make it a reality. Together, we can pave the way for the wider acceptance and use of cryptocurrency as legal tender. So it would actually include TRX, BTT, JST, NFT, USDD, and USDT, and TUSD. So a huge amount of tokens there. And MP Bryson has said, allowing cryptocurrency to continue totally unregulated in St. Martin is extremely risky, and we have to be proactive. Hence, I use my right of initiative to bring this law with Tron Protocol at the forefront, with possibilities later for other blockchains to be incorporated. This too can be done in line with other countries like St. Kitts, who I know are also working on their own legal tender legalization. So we're actually seeing him speaking to pretty high people in these different jurisdictions. And actually, I do think that this possibly could become a reality, maybe not in 5 countries, but he's going to make big moves in 2023, I believe. And at the end of the day, this is a positive thing for cryptocurrency. We're seeing adoption, and this is a brilliant move for us within the space. I would say it's a pretty risky move from the countries themselves. Volatile is an extremely volatile space, and having it as a legal tender is a risk, in my opinion. Until the markets do slow down, but the only reason the way will slow down is if we see that adoption and we see them actually achieve their fair market value over a long period of time. So it's one of the steps in the right direction overall. It just may be a little bit of a rocky path if we see another bear market and see these tokens see a huge fall to the downside. But El Salvador took Bitcoin as legal tender and they've survived. So we are seeing positivity from these things. And El Salvador, I believe, are going to perform incredibly well over this year and next year because they have Bitcoin as legal tender. Moving on to the next article now, we have New York Senate introduces bill to accept crypto as payment for fines and taxes. Now, the New York state have a huge amount of cryptocurrency bills being processed at the moment. They are mentioned in the news very, very frequently, trying to adopt cryptocurrency in the best way possible and trying to regulate it in the correct way. So now they're accepting it to be used for fines and taxes. Again, we're seeing adoption in the crypto space. This is another positive thing for crypto. The more adoption we see, the more the space grows, and the more the prices increase, and the more we all become very profitable. unbelievable. Let's take a look now at how many likes we're on before the last article in today's stream, which is a very, very interesting one. It's about SBF involvement with Celsius. We're currently on 25 likes for today's stream. Please make sure to continue pressing like and subscribing and turning on that bell notification button so that you don't miss our daily live streams. Taking a look at this final article now, very interesting one. We have SBF and Alameda allegedly played a part in Celsius collapse. So between May and June, two mysterious wallets transferred about $70 million worth of Lido's staked Ether tokens from FTX, swapped it for Ether, and then transferred it back to FTX. So let's discuss this quickly. STETH was staked Ethereum, and this was by Lido. Now, this was at the time, Ethereum was pre-merge. Ethereum was trading at a higher price than staked Ethereum. Now, staked Ethereum meant that if you had an Ethereum staked, you could actually get a staked Ethereum, and you could, if you bought, right, let me restart that explanation. That was a poor explanation. If you bought staked Ethereum pre-merge, you could actually get that one-to-one for Ethereum in a year's time when Ethereum staked on the Ethereum blockchain is released. Now, staked Ethereum was actually trading at a lower price than the Ether token. So by buying staked Ethereum, you were getting Ethereum at a lower price, but it meant you couldn't sell it or get access to it for another year. I mean, you could trade staked Ethereum, but you couldn't get access to the actual Ethereum and make the arbitrage trade until Ethereum is unlocked on the Beacon chain. So we were looking at that. A lot of people were interested in buying staked Ethereum because it meant this arbitrage trade. You could buy it for less than, I believe, like 20% less than the Ethereum price. And then if you held it for the year, it was a better purchase than holding Ethereum, than holding then it was better purchase than holding Ethereum for the long term because you could buy it at a discounted price. Taking a look at what's happening here, though. So FTX put the STF tokens into, between May and June, two mysterious wallets transferred about $70 million worth of Lido's staked Ethereum tokens from FTX, swapped it to Ether, and then transferred it back to FTX. The transactions were typically a dump of STF, which drove the already battered value of the token a further lower in parity with one Ethereum. So as I was saying, STETH was trading lower than ETH, so people were using it as an arbitrage opportunity, but it was a long-winded arbitrage opportunity because you had to wait until Ethereum can be unstaked, which hasn't even happened yet. So we saw at the time PeckShield alert on Twitter. This was tweeted just today, actually. We've detected 3 unknown wallets that I've clicked on the link. We have detected 3 unknown wallets that withdrew 63,860 staked Ethereum from FTX, swapped it for ETH, and then transferred it to FTX. When the ETH price dropped to a monthly low during May and June, it appears that SBF may have been related to these transactions. So they've got rid of a load of staked Ethereum on the network. Taking a look back at the article, where were we? These transactions, which contributed to the staked Ethereum depeg. Now, Ethereum wasn't actually pegged one-to-one with staked Ether. They actually were able to fluctuate. It wasn't exactly a peg, but it hurt Celsius liquidity severely, given the company was among the principal clients of Lido, and so holds a significant amount of staked Ethereum. Evidently, Celsius suspended user withdrawals days after the staked ETH selling transactions. Coinbase's head of product, Connor Grogan, shared more insight on the matter, saying that there were previous suspicions that SBF's Alameda research was behind the dumps, but there wasn't verifiable proof to pin them to the transactions at the time. So what we've seen is SBF or FTX allegedly dump huge amounts of staked Ethereum tokens, and this has caused Celsius to collapse because they were the principal clients of Lido that were issuing the staked Ethereum tokens to begin with. But SBF's involvement became certain as the same mysterious wallets transferred funds, ETH and staked ETH, to the FTX estate in January following Alameda's and FTX's bankruptcy. So this is the benefits we get from having a transparent blockchain where we can see where the transactions are taking place and more information is unveiled as time goes on. According to Grogan, the slippage of the transactions were very high, suggesting Alameda might have an ulterior motive attached. Alameda took 7 figures in slippage in the largest single swap of a crypto-to-crypto trade I've ever seen them do on-chain. They were certainly savvy enough to understand the slippage impact, which makes me think they had motives outside the best practice execution. So now Celsius filed for bankruptcy, obviously, in July 2022 last year, unveiling more than a $1.2 billion hole in its balance sheet. And the company's attorney, Ross M., revealed that they are exploring the possibility of setting up a new company and issuing a new token to repay affected users. We spoke about that with Jordan, that Martini guy, on a live stream late last week. So very interesting news article here that they have had such an effect on the markets. I imagine that SBF already knew that Celsius were in a little bit of trouble, and they may potentially, allegedly, I don't want to confirm this news just yet. Allegedly, they have caused the collapse of Celsius. Let's take a look at the next. That's actually the end of the articles for today. I thought I had another article there. That is the end of the news for today's live stream. Let's take a look back at CoinMarketCap and see what's happening over here. Don't forget to press like and subscribe and press the bell notification button so that you don't miss out on the latest cryptocurrency news. We do these live streams every single day. We are currently on 29 likes for today's stream. Let's take a look at CoinMarketCap. We have Bitcoin at $23,230 and Ethereum at $1,586. We can see here we have taken a dump to the downside right now, but this is because we had that CME gap. Now, that CME gap was at $23,077. We can fairly say that that has filled. And now we are retesting this level of resistance that we managed to break through over the weekend. This level of resistance is at $23,300. We've used it as a resistance back on the 26th of January. And then again on the 26th, we saw it on the 27th. And on the 29th, we managed to break through it on the weekend. I really don't trust weekend price action. That gives me a lot of fear. And we've come back down now again. So we're retesting that resistance. Hopefully we do see a break to the upside. But it looks like it's holding for now. We'll see how that goes over the next couple of hours though, and we will keep you updated on these live streams. As I said, we do these every single day, so we will be back tomorrow reporting the latest cryptocurrency news and taking another look at the price chart. But that is all from me today. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.